What's going on, guys? My name is Gabe, if you didn't know. I also go by Social. Today we have Terrance Martin and Jared Adams, aka J Sovereign, and today we're just going to do an interview on their most recent hit lately.
Bow.
How you guys feeling today?
Rested, slightly rested. We both had a week.
Okay.
We both had a week.
A week indeed, bro.
But no, we good. We just performed lately last night actually. So that was like fun.
Oh, wow.
Oh God.
Sounds like y'all been moving with the motion with this one. It's been a lot.
More than recent for sure. This, we've done stuff before, but this is probably my favorite like collab I've done. Like, not just with him, but like probably period. Probably up to date.
Yeah, Sirski. No, it's like my favorite thing I've like written. I'm not gonna cap.
Really?
See, this next to this, another song that hopefully will release soon. Christ is my culture.
Oh,
I'm between those, bro.
That's a fave of mine. That's a fave of mine.
Whenever that, and there's some people who know me that are like, "Yo, if you don't release that, like, I'm really gonna box you." Like, I'm like,
I would.
guess so.
Shoot, me personally.
Oh, wow.
Nah.
For real, for real.
I could have sworn I seen gloves around him somewhere.
Oh, nah.
Dang, oh shoot.
What kind of interview is this? Nah.
Shoot.
Delete that footage. Delete it.
But yeah, you guys dropped a teaser video for it, and that was awesome. So I just wanted to, the song is deep enough, like just off first hear. I enjoyed it personally, so I just wanted to dive in and really, pick your thoughts on what you guys were talking about. So.
Yeah.
So bad.
So I'm gonna start off with Terrance, since Terrance was the first one to kick off the song. So for you, what and or who inspired your verse?
Who? I mean, but, nah. Who?
I mean, if it was a who,
Yo.
it don't have to be a who.
That's so funny.
Nah. Yeah, honestly, I think it was, I started writing this song actually 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When the pandemic started. And for the pandemic, for a lot of us, it was a time of reflection.
Yeah.
And although lately it is a deeper theme, and I started thinking about just past relationships, some romantic, some just friendships. Like, I wonder, as I'm a 20-year-old at the time when I started writing it, and just wondering, oh man, I wonder if 20-year-old Terrance's mind was in 17-year-old Terrance's mind.
Interesting.
How different things could have turned out or worked out. And like the theme stays the same today. Cause like, oh man, if the 23-year-old me today could be in the 20-year-old, and so exactly. So it's a whole cycle of like being able to reminisce. I'm still young. I'm older than y'all, but I'm still,
getting up there.
I think like having an upbeat, I'm cracking up, but having an upbeat outlook on like, oh man, like acknowledgement. I wish I knew this back then, but like I am here now, and it's okay to think about what could have happened. And of course, I think specifically me, I like writing romantic stuff. Like I'm a fan of romantic just music or even rom-coms, movies. So like adding a romantic narrative as like the sub point in that, between like me and you, like, but also the overall theme just being like reflecting on where I was and where I'm trying to be, and that's how it started. And then 3 years later, as like low-key forgot about the track, and then like was like, yo, Jared did his thing. So if that answers the question.
No, I did. I think you might have answered my second question too, to be honest with you, because it was, what does the song mean to you? But you talked about reflection, and I really like that actually. I definitely caught that vibe a lot. It definitely put me in a state of like, oh man, like, what can I do to like go back and think about like things that I've gone through and everything like that. I really like that. And one of the lines you speak about being the man that you could have been and the man that she could have seen. To you, and you can answer this in terms of like in a general sense or like when it comes to relationships, what does it mean to be a man to you?
That's so true.
I'm still figuring that out. I think specifically in this song, the romantic mindset behind it, I think I was reminiscing on ways I could have connected to someone, but the guards were still up. And through my experience in the past couple years, and just learning how to have a level of vulnerability, which I'm learning as men is one of the strongest things we can do and have. So, and yes, that does affect, from the romantic lens, but just in general. So I think the biggest lesson I'm learning as a young man is just vulnerability and being okay to dive deep into like, oh man, like I wish things could have gone different. I felt things like regret, disappointment, which, as men, especially black men, isn't always the most popular thing to make public. So yeah, as a man, like I think that's and it's funny because it's definitely has transformed in 3 years from what it originally went. Yeah. Originally I'm writing, dang, like I wonder what Yo's up to. I wonder, where like,
what's she doing right now?
She's in her journey, I'm in mine, like, if she could see me now. But like,
so funny, bro.
In general, like vulnerability and the core of this has affected even my friendships and relationships. It's in my relationship with myself in terms of, just having a sober assessment and view of everything. And, but yeah, and what a man mean to me, I feel like it's so many places I could take that. But for this, I think, vulnerability being the key word, not to ramble. But yeah.
No,
man, oh man,
kind of hit that on the head. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh God. Being a man. How about that?
Yo, you be killing me.
I love this dude, yo.
Wow.
Oh man,
I love this dude.
Yeah, y'all got some great chemistry. I'm not gonna lie. And I definitely want to touch on that later.
Ready?
You spoke about like in certain times where things aren't said. Do you feel like that comes from a place of regret, or do you feel like that's more so like, oh, lesson learned, I know how to move forward, like I know how to operate from now on?
I think both.
Okay.
I think any situation, especially like romantic situations that didn't work out, we'd be like, oh man, I should have moved like this. But also like, I wouldn't know what I knew now if I didn't go through what I went through.
That's very true.
And not just like romantically, actually. Like, I'm keeping it romantic because like lately it's a romantic undertone, at least for my parts.
No, big facts.
But like as a man, like especially these past couple years, this past year especially, has been healing. That's been the theme in just my life, in every aspect, whether it's forgiving people or moving forward. And I think in terms of like, in terms of the man I'm like striving to be, there's going to be regret because we all know our shortcomings, right? But just being able to move forward and understanding. I always say you always take an L, but you could choose if it's a loss or a lesson. So it's just accepting everything as a lesson and not, oh man, I blew it, you know? And it's easy to fall into I fall into that trap. I wish I spent this amount of time on my craft these years.
Ooh,
well, like,
that part.
You're still young, yo. What's stopping you now?
Yeah,
and
type stuff.
Having that type of reflective approach. But yeah, I think, I'd be lying if I told you there was no regret. That like, even if I see someone from my past that like represents a certain point in my life, I'm like, huh. But like, it is a like, I'm grateful for my hardships in my journey as much as the victories, because they each play an equal role in the man I'm trying to be.
Trying to be.
Come on.
Yeah,
man. Come on, like, how can y'all not love this? I wanted to touch on that actually. You spoke about what did you say again? You said something about you said letting the lessons either letting them become losses or lessons.
But yeah.
And then you touched on something else that I really wanted to speak on, but I want you to expand on what takes you out of that mindset from, oh man, this is a loss, to, oh man, like, I actually could learn something from this, and this actually is going to help me in the long run. Like, what kind of made you switch? How do you switch that?
I think in one sense, like, I took such L's that's like no way to go than up. But nah, I think jokes aside, like every relationship or interaction reflects, just how to deal with different people for me. So like whether it's like a woman that I have romantic interest in, and like it's not a mutual thing. Like I don't look at that as a loss, because what drew me in her, and what could I have done, what in the friendship, or what did I gain from that friendship that I can move forward and learn in other relationships with women. And even when I have falling out with my friends who are guys, right? It's like, okay, like my friendship with you and my friendship with Jared are two separate friendships. But there are lessons from even our lows or our lows that I can take into account in the relationship with the other, right? So when I say like lessons over losses, it's more so of like, I always think something is to be learned, even at my lowest, there's always something I can take away from it, which changes from 17 to 20 to 23. But yeah, I don't know if that's enough elaboration, but those were kind of like my thoughts on lessons over losses. You're going to receive an L regardless, because no one's perfect. So I'd rather the L be a lesson. But it does take time to humble out to that sense, because it's easy to have the emotional reaction. Stuff didn't go my way. And that's
be in the woes.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I've fallen into that mindset of just like, oh man, like it just didn't go the way I wanted it to. And I just kind of get stuck in that way. I've definitely been learning a lot from like, trying to gain a new perspective from what has occurred in my life. And I think the way you look at things kind of speaks to the positivity that you have in your life, and like the positive character you have. So I really like that. I like how it comes out through the music and just through your life in general.
Tears up. So true, yeah, yo. Toast up to the guys.
I'm screaming. Bro, you and Drake, what's going on?
Oh shoot! Started that monster.
It's really your fault.
You know what I think it was, bro? I was listening to Sooner Than Later yesterday, bro. It really got me.
Oh man,
you know
that's one of his top hits. I don't care.
So good. What are you saying? Yo, so good.
Terrance, you said, sorry you didn't get to see the better side of me. Sorry that you didn't get to see the me that's changed.
Ooh.
Do you think we experience people at certain times for like a reason? Like how you said, like, do you think it's more so because of lessons? And it doesn't have to necessarily be for you. It could be for that other person, or it could be for, I don't know, maybe even somebody like outside of the relationship looking in and being like, oh, like I could take something from what they're doing. Do you feel like people come in for a reason, or do you feel like it's all just random and then we just happen to learn things along the way?
I definitely do think people are for different seasons. I'm not saying people are just for specific seasons, but I think when I like wrote that line, I was thinking of teenage Terrance. So it was so much like that I just didn't know yet. In terms of how to connect. Like, I think if I liked you back then, you know, I wouldn't FaceTime you or like call you past a certain hour. It was like rules as opposed to like connection, which is part of my upbringing, and we all know that. And so like, I think like when I wrote that, it was a level of comfortability that I needed to grow in having with like opposite sex relationships. That like it was up until like my adult years, it was a real awkwardness present, and I think I was talking to that point. You know, and I'm still learning to not be awkward and stuff like that, like as an adult, and navigating like what relationships look like. And so anyone and it doesn't even have to be that as deep as that, because like anyone who knew me a year or two ago, I hope that was not as, you know, great version today. Not like I was horrible a year or two ago, but like if I'm not growing from these interactions, then like what are we doing? You know, so I want a vast difference from this Terrance to like the 25-year-old Terrance, because it's like from each interaction, the more we go through, you go where you die, you know. You know, I'm not saying that it's to be physical, but like if we're not taking something from our situations and experiences, then like we're stunting our own growth in a lot of ways. So yeah, for me that was more like, I'm sorry that you saw the knucklehead teenage Terrance. You know, I was a good kid as a teenager, but compared to the 20-year-old, I was a knucklehead. You know, I didn't know how to navigate. You know, please talk to 20-year-old Terrance. Even better, talk to 23-year-old. You know, so kind of saying it's levels to this, but like we need to choose that growth too, because it doesn't just come with age. You know, maturity is a choice. Not something you get over time. Wisdom is a choice, you know? If you see like someone who's 10 years older than me, but choose to learn nothing from like their experiences, although they've lived more life than me, you know, what are we really gaining?
There's no exchange.
Exactly. So, not to talk nobody down, but you know, you grow where you die, you know?
I like that actually. I like how you both talked about growth in your verses. And I'm gonna touch on that later with you. But I wanted to talk about another line. You said thinking was maturing, the reason for our natural end.
Deeper.
You want to expand on that?
No.
Straight up no.
You know.
Oh shoot.
She knows who. Nah, let me stop.
I'm dying.
JK. Me not choosing growth, but I think. In all seriousness, when I wrote that line, like, understanding certain stuff that works out does not have to be negative, or that doesn't work out. Like, we both were growing. That other person is in their journey. Great. It could just be a great lane still. It just may never be an intersection in a way I previously wanted it to be. So, like, accepting, like,
couple of stop signs sometimes.
Yeah. A yield. Like,
a yield.
Detour.
You never know.
Now, you know, who knows what down the line, what life has in store for us. But yeah, for me, kind of like realizing, we matured. It just didn't have to be together. And, you know, if my individual, you know, growth meets your individual growth, who knows? But just thinking like, dang, like we only met a fraction of our potential, because like you had this version of me and I had, and that's like the regret aspect, and it's very human nature to have that, like,
dang, bro.
But yeah,
tough.
And then the last thing, I just wanted to, I'm sorry, the last thing for you. I just wanted to talk about some of your wordplay.
Ooh,
I got that. Oh shoot.
So
wordplay.
You said thinking all along 1 and 1 is 2. Thinking if this one could end up with you. So I'm gonna let you break that down, but I just wanted to break down what I took from that.
All right, yeah.
Because I was like, that's crazy. And it took me a minute, I'm not gonna lie. For those of you that don't know, I listened to the song like 5 times yesterday.
That's so
and
funny.
I didn't really get it until like 3rd or 4th time.
I'm still trying to get it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna listen to it again. Like, this song has been on repeat for like the past couple.
That's how it's be. Like, I'm really like a fan of it.
No, this is a great song.
Oh man.
Oh right, but what I took away from that was, so Terrance, you being the one, like literally the one. So like in the sense of like, oh yeah, like I'm the one for you, and it's like literally the one, like one of the ones that's in the. Right? Okay.
Oh,
and that
shoot.
Yeah, hear me.
One.
So Terrance being the one, and then the line before that he said 1 + 1 is 2, basically. So him being 1 and then her being 1, making that 2.
Ooh, that being a bar for real.
That's a bar. Thank you.
Whoa.
So my one question is, who hurt you?
Wow.
Only hurt people write stuff like that. So who hurt you? What's going on?
1 and 1 is wow.
Like, please break that bar down for me, because
the people want to know.
Yeah,
like,
the people want to know. Because
Like,
how did you come up with that? That's deep.
That's crazy. Word. No, I think it. Shoot, I need some water. I don't think someone hurt me.
Okay.
I think I've had a lot of situations that I wanted to work out that didn't.
Yeah.
Whether it was because of the other person or it was because of my shortcomings. And like, I'm thinking through them lines again. If this one could have ended up with you, I think it's like, I think it was a level of hurt, especially like at this age, like I was around a lot of people who were like getting engaged and were dating at the time. So it was like, dang, like,
where my shorty, you know?
Yes. And like thinking about, it made me think back to like past like romantic interests. Y'all really want names? Like,
I mean, y'all got Kim names.
Y'all,
it would just help with the interview. I'm just
saying.
I mean,
so funny.
I think the situation is what hurt.
No, of course.
We don't need to put a name because there's no
situation like
crazy. I think it was disappointment, especially like seeing like women from like your past who are like, oh shoot, you're single, you're thriving. I'm like single, trying to thrive. We can like, like we can like,
like you could really pay my bills. Like what?
I don't co-sign that one.
Like, dang,
I'm not against that, but like,
you feel
it's Jared. But no, I think it was more like a thing. Like, I know what we could have been. You know, like we would have been great. And part of that is like wishful thinking because we grew apart for a reason. You know, that version of Terrance wasn't ready. For that version of what's her name, you know, and so, so, you know, I think it's a little hopefulness in that line, like if this one could, because that's not the end of it, you know, of the story potentially, who knows, but I'm grateful for the story it was, and I'm grateful for the interaction. Like all of these are positives, because like, you know. Lessons over losses.
For real.
Positive, man.
Love
it.
Got to. So
we love it, yo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.